Wonderful. Okay, well, here we go. To close. Okay. Hello and happy Wednesday, everyone. We are super excited to join you this evening. We have a special guest with us tonight. Annalisha is joining us, and Annalisha is a precision nutrition certified nutrition coach, but she's also just completed a full course at Culinary School focused on plant-based education and nutrition. So we're going to dive into that a little bit with her tonight, but thank you so much for joining us. We're really looking forward to chatting with you this evening.
Thank you for the invitation. This is very cool for me myself.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so thankful that you had time to do this. I really appreciate it. So Annalisha, if you want to take a moment and just kind of, tell everyone a little bit about your journey, how you arrived, at the nutrition piece and how that led over into your journey going into culinary school, I think that would be something everyone is super interested in.
It's a very interesting story. Myself, as a young child, I always had like a lot of stomach issues, which growing up, I just kind of accepted were like the norm for people when they would, eat certain things or just eat in general. Just thought it was normal. So I just lived with it for a long time. And then at some point, seeking out doctor's assistance and help, but I had other issues, lots of medications and depression and in my home and very unhealthy, trying to learn how to be healthy. And then somehow or another, I stumbled into a workout group with a good friend of mine that I have known since childhood. We got closer though once I joined her boot camp. And so for about 10 years, I've been with her trying to figure out where my stalls were. I was getting healthier, but I was still dealing with a lot of like health problems. And I was doing the exercises and getting the sleep, but it just wasn't enough until one day I was challenged by a coworker who saw my consistent efforts with exercise and meal prep for myself. She went to seek out some holistic help for her own health problems. And so she went to a registered dietitian out here who immediately told her she needed to go on a vegan diet. And she was like, I don't know what to do. I need your help. You're the only person that I know that's in the kitchen all the time. Like, can you just help me out? And so I was like, you know what? Let me challenge myself. I'm having some of my own little like stalls and plateaus. And so while you go vegan, I'll go vegetarian. And so she survived 3 weeks of recommendations and help between this doctor and my recipe help and the food. I even started making food for her just to kind of help her out. And so she survived 3 weeks, and I had dropped like 16 pounds, and like the majority of my stomach issues that I was dealing with just went away. And so I was shocked and stunned at the connection with just food in general to my general well-being. It was a big surprise for myself. So I continued trucking on forward for about 2.5 years as a vegetarian. But it forced me to get into the kitchen and look at food differently. And I had sought out like help from Weight Watchers and whatnot over the years. And I found myself always like dissecting their recipes and trying to make them better and flavorful. I did try a meal prep service at one point where you could pick up your food, and it was like sensible portions, but the food to me it lacked in flavor. I wasn't satisfied when I was done eating it. So I was looking for more things to eat, which wasn't helping my progress. And so with this vegetarian shift in my life and feeling better, I started to see some health issues creep back in. And so I was like, I really don't want to do this. And I was down to like fish and eggs was what I was eating as far as a vegetarian. Mm-hmm. And so I said, let me just do 2 weeks of full plant-based. And I felt the best that I had ever felt since my journey began, when I started to realize that. And so I just ran with it, and I started meal prepping for myself. And I'm one of those people who believes that you eat with your eyes first. And so a visual plate, a pretty plate, is just as satisfying as tasting it sometimes. And so my lunch would be beautiful. And before you know it, coworkers were like, here's some money. Can you make some of what you make me for yourself? And then they told their friends, and then their friends told their friends. And before you know it, word of mouth, my convenience factor, my clean food, it was delicious. It literally took over my life. And so I had lost my office job just due to COVID. when COVID hit. So my little side gigs like Instacart shopping and Ubering became my full-time gig, and meal prepping was covering my groceries, but that was about it. So when that was just too much in my home with a new relationship and a family starting, so it was a lot. And then culinary school popped up across my screen, and it was a full plant-based program, which I did not think existed even. I was just doomed in Cajun country to be a little plant-based lover. Everybody around me eating meat, rice, and gravy and gumbos. And then the demand for my food became a lot. And so I utilized a lot of my culinary journey to just kind of, segue into the potential to have my own little business. And here I am with people ready for me to get in the kitchen and cook for them. So that was it. Health and wellness all in one shot with a delicious plate of food too. So.
Yeah. No, that is amazing. That's so interesting that when you ventured over into being vegetarian, that cleaned up so many of your digestive issues. That's exactly what happened with me as well. It's like been a lifelong thing. But then, like you said, they came back and you're like, well, what can I get rid of now? And as you do, you kind of become, well, you don't eat any animal products anymore, and you just feel so much better.
Well, I even told it to one of my nutrition clients the other day who's having a hard time transitioning, giving up certain things. And I told her, I said, you're at a point in your life and with your diagnoses that, now it's time for you to look at your plate as friend or foe. I was like, it's either going to help you or it's going to make you worse. And you need to choose which one you want. And she was like, you are so right. And it's a scary thing for a lot of people, but people have watched my journey and now they're looking for me for guidance and assistance, and they're also seeking out me to help the convenience factor.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I think that I met you actually during COVID, and you were posting a lot of your meal prep pictures, and they were so beautiful. Like, there's other meal prep companies all over the place, but I've never seen a place that has such a wonderful presentation for their food.
Oh, I loved the plating part when it got to at some point I had to stop my meal prep because it was consuming too much of my creativity, and school was making such high demands. And so I had to transition and kind of say, look, so that I need to take a pause and do this. But I really, really enjoyed when I had the headspace to create a plate and plate it, because then my ideas ran wild. It was really hard to stop my mind from racing with ideas.
Right. No, that's so amazing. And I think you're right. It's the plating of the food, the way that it's presented can be so vital to finding food appealing in the first place.
Well, I love to tell people that a colorful plate is a nutritious plate. And so a beige plate is lacking not just in color, so that means it's lacking in nutrients and all of the things that keep us going and surviving well, that keep us off of the prescriptions. And it's about prevention over prescription is like my favorite thing. So a colorful plate is a nutritious plate. It is prevention over prescription. And those are like some of my favorite things to help people recognize when something, you need to add this or round your meal out like this. So that's how you got to see it before you can consume it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So you decided to go into culinary school. What was going through a plant-based culinary school like?
That was interesting. I do honestly wish that I had been able to do a classroom setting, because this was their first plant-based program online and on campus. Okay. So we were in home with no teachers to kind of help us, and that classroom competitiveness and creativity that you can get. We didn't have that, but it was definitely a lot. The demands of it, the interesting facts to learn, the cultural history, the history of where things have come from, just the foods around the world. There's so much to learn, and I've only just scratched the surface of what's out there. But it was a very eye-opening experience to what is around us with commercial farming, with the media, with things that I had already picked up on, but to really fine-tune a lot of the concerns that we have with eating commercially processed items that keep us sick. It was so wonderful to be around a group of people that could recognize these things as well. It took a lot of my life
I'm sure.
But it was one of the best things that I have ever done. I enjoyed every bit that went along with it. It was really, really an awesome process.
That's amazing. How long was the course?
The diploma program was like 15 months, I think, but I was enrolled in the associate's program, so it was an additional 6 months. So it was close to 2 years. I started July of 21, maybe, and just finished this past April. So it was a very long course, but it was well worth it. It was very thorough. One of my classmates she graduated from Le Cordon Bleu many years back, and she did say that her first 5 months with this program was more thorough than her 8 month time over there. She got so much more out of this, which that's not to knock that school or anything like that, but she just felt like it was thorough with technique and history, and she really appreciated the program and how well-rounded it was. On top of, we would have business courses in there as well. So not only did we learn how to cook, but we learned how to run a business as well.
That is amazing. Definitely a bonus. What would you say was the most useful thing that you learned at culinary school?
Oh my. To the I guess to be humble when you are around someone that has the knowledge and the technique to teach you. This is when you open your eyes. This is when you listen. Take advantage of, if there's the opportunity to go around the world. I keep telling the boyfriend that I want to take a food trip around the world and just eat and just be open-minded. And the creativity, once I found an accountability buddy, and we kind of like helped each other through life, became best friends. But we also, it was somebody to discuss our projects with and to go through this program that nobody else understood. So that was probably one of the best things, was the creativity, collaborations, and then the friendships that I've built, and then the people that now I'm in touch with that have knowledge and expertise.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's interesting because that kind of actually really lines up with some of the main points inside of coaching.
It absolutely does, because now I've got insights into the food and people don't want to do meal prep because it's boring, because they're trying to be fast so that they can do everything else. And they want to taste it and enjoy their food. And I tell everybody that you can't eat everything you see all day long. So when you do get to sit down and enjoy a meal and nourish your body, it is an event. So if you can enjoy that moment, enjoy that moment. And so you can eat healthy and enjoy it too. And so trying to coach people into understanding like the importance of nutrition, but then at the same time trying to understand their, how it's for their future selves, that it matters as well.
Absolutely. I think people lose sight a lot of the time of their future selves, for sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So what are some of your favorite meals or dishes to prepare?
There's hummus in a lot of things that I like. Curries, I love making curries. Definitely lots of salads. I've been playing with a lot of overnight oatmeal recipes. The boyfriend and his son are enjoying eating healthier as well. So I've been doing a lot of like tofu ramen. The boyfriend will request tofu now. He is a meat eater, but he will ask for some tofu dishes because I've done some wonderful things with them. And so a lot of ramen dishes, Asian, pretty much if you put me to the test, I'm going to figure out how to accomplish it.
Right. No, I'm sure you will. We have a lot of ladies on Facebook watching us. So ladies, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them into the chat. I'll make sure that we get them answered for you. But Annalisha, what is like your favorite time-saving tip in the kitchen?
Whew, oh my. Time-saving tip. I have started to learn, as a busy person juggling and shuffling, that you don't always have to do everything all in one day. And so as somebody who is plant-based and having to, like, a lot of people know that when they create a plate, it's easy to focus on meat, the protein, the starch and the veggies, and you can do, the same thing over and over again when you have that protein. But to actually create a full dish with all these different elements, once you take off that chunk of animal flesh, sometimes is very difficult for somebody. So I like to, like today, I prepared rice and quinoa and orzo, and that is done for today. So tomorrow when I go to make the dinner that I plan, we're going to do some Mediterranean tofu quinoa bowls that I'll have with like a tzatziki dressing. I've done my grains today, that way tomorrow it's just chopping and taking care of the tofu, and then I can throw it all together. If there's something that you can do today to simplify tomorrow, that's usually the best thing to stay in a hurry. And if you're trying to be creative with your items, prepare your vegetables, put them in small containers. That way you just have to like grab this, throw it on here, throw it on there, and on about your business. It's already done. You don't have to always pull out the cutting board every night. And before it goes bad, freeze it. Throw some items together. If you've got tofu or some beans and some rice here and some fresh veggies here, maybe saute those veggies, throw the beans over the rice, and throw that in the freezer, and you have a meal for the future, and nothing went to waste. So a lot of just always you always have to be looking ahead just a little bit in order to save time and money.
No, that's so true. I do that when things are going to go bad. I will cook it all, and then either we have it that night or I have it later, and it's such a huge help.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I mean, if batch cooking is the best thing too, make a large batch of something and then freeze half of it, and then you have the other half for this week. If you've got the time to prepare a casserole, maybe prepare two. One goes in the freezer, one goes in the oven. When you've got moments like that, always think about, what can I do for my future when things aren't so easy, or we have an emergency, or life is just lifing and you can't get to it. It helps you to be just a little bit healthier if you've got a little bit prepared for in the future. Right. And bulk shopping for like your grains. Find healthy little rice ramen cakes. We love the Lotus Foods. The ingredients are so simple. It's not like plastic, and just learning the tips on how to save your produce and your herbs and store them in the fridge so that you get the longest shelf life. I love mason jars and little, for things like that. So always using your time-saving tips. It's always a little bit today so that you can have it easier tomorrow.
Yeah, that's such a good tip. It's such a good reminder, because I think a lot of the time we forget to think about the future, and then that's just setting us up like the old saying is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you
Correct.
keep a tiny bit ahead of that, even, it really is helping to set yourself up for success.
Oh yes, always having just a little something to grab to throw together is the best tip. And I try to keep my bulk grains like oats or anything like that, things that I can do in the freezer. That way, really the only thing I'm ever having to like run to the store for are fresh items. A little bit of lettuce or romaine. Make sure you always rinse and clean your vegetables if possible. Especially nowadays, we have to be aware of what they're putting, the chemicals that they're putting on our fruits and veggies. And so either an ice cold salt bath or a vinegar wash, or even hydrogen peroxide in your ice water, give them a good soak and a dunk, and make sure you rinse them, because nowadays, you got to trust where your food's coming from.
No, that's we've been using our farmers market enough.
Yes.
You mentioned having the grains in bulk. What other things do you like to have on hand so that it's easy to prepare?
Beans. I love a multitude of beans. There's so many different things that you can do with them. The boyfriend is Mexican, so he loves beans and corn. He loves that kind of thing. And so he actually pulled the grill out the other day, and I came home from work and he had made vegetable skewers for me, and then we had some corn that we went ahead and grilled, and so that he and my stepson ate some of it, and then we took the rest of it, and I put a whole bunch in the freezer. I made a corn chowder with that 1 week, and then you've got I've got frozen grilled vegetables to dump on top of rice with either some other beans or some. So beans are always, and there's a variety of them with a variety of nutrients and a variety of uses and flavor profiles. So that's one of my favorites. And if you're looking for the best texture for your tofu, my suggestion for your extra firms and your firms is when you get home from the market, throw them the whole package in the freezer and then let it thaw and then throw it back in the freezer. And then once you're ready to use it, do a double freeze and a double thaw, and you'll get the best chewy texture out of your tofu. It will also help to absorb the flavors and of the spices and marinades that people are out there using. It just takes on a whole new textural note for your tofu when you're trying to figure out how to cook it.
Okay, that's amazing. No, I knew to freeze it, and it changes the texture quite a bit.
A double freeze and thaw is really where it's at.
I just got some. Ladies, for you on Facebook, if you have any questions for us here tonight, go ahead and drop them in the chat, and I'll make sure that we get them answered for you. But those are all the questions I had written down, Annalisha. I know I had asked if you are currently doing any meal prep services right now, but I didn't.
Am I doing them now? You're kind of going in and out. Not at this moment. I'm trying to develop a menu right now. I'm doing more nutrition coaching to kind of help give the people the ideas and the tips and the guidance to kind of help with their own lives. Once they've learned how good they feel on it, for the other people that have already bought from me, I do have other people that are asking for when am I going to have it ready. I am trying to develop a menu right now, and like a weekly rotating one. So at least 4 or 5 weeks of rotating menu just to get started. I am also trying to develop, I have a lot of people that have asked me if I'd be willing to go in home and cook their food, their meal prep for them. So I'm trying to develop a system, a little plan for that as well. And then I have linked up with a lady from the local farmers market, all caps gourmet mushrooms. She sells mushroom grow kits and tinctures and seasonings. She just got her plant-based coaching certificate. And so she wants to have a dinner where I would cook and prepare specific items that are plant-based for some guests, and then she would discuss the importance of some of the nutrients and the ingredients that are found in these dishes and how easy it is to do this at home or to find it, or just how this way of life is really so beneficial to your wellness and your future wellness. So I have a lot of little things going on as I'm trying to build a foundation, and my best friend is building a boot camp studio. And so at some point we were going to see what it's like for me to have a space with a kitchen and rent it out in her area. So I'll have a place to prep and host classes and, you know, stuff like that.
That's amazing. So when you do get the menu finished for the meal prep, it's your service is just local?
As of right now, it probably will be. However, I do have some friends who are in Texas. I have some friends in Massachusetts and Washington State who are interested. And so other places have asked if I ship. And so I will be developing a plan for shipping. I'm not sure what the cost is, because that's being overnight for some of that kind of stuff with the temperature and whatnot. So that's going to take some research on my part to find the best way to provide the best service to people across the country. So yes, at some point that's goals.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think she's in Massachusetts, so I'll make sure she gets a thing of the replay so that you guys can connect. But we still have a lot of ladies on Facebook, so if you've got any questions, we have Annalisha here for a couple more minutes. Where can people find you, Annalisha, if they want to talk to you more about meal prep? Or
I'm on Facebook. If they wanted to message me personally, Annalisha Van Deventer, they can find that. I do have a Facebook page, Herbivore and More. It'll be a little green initial. That's me. I haven't done too much on that right now, since I'm kind of in the foundation stages for my future self. But that is also another little place that I do like to jump on every now and then. Hey, I've done this kind of meal prep, or hey, I just succeeded with finishing this course or just dropping a little hint of nutrition advice for the people that are still watching. So that's where my business page is. But at some point, I mean, I'm even on Instagram at Herbivore and More LAF for Lafayette, Louisiana. So my personal page is probably the best one that I'm on the most if they wanted to try to contact me for more information or advice. I'm down to give some advice.
Awesome. Tressa says congratulations on your accomplishment and great information. Thank you. But
Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you for coming in tonight and sharing about your journey and your experience going through culinary school. That sounds amazing. And like it was just such a wonderful experience overall. It's super exciting.
It is. It is. It's been one crazy little ride, but it's been a wonderful journey. It really has been. I've done so much growing myself, and then my life has changed so much in this whole process. And it all started with having to like figure out how to be healthy. It was just a whole accident. I feel that I stumbled across this way, but I was definitely destined to be in the kitchen. I have a love for it and a knack for it, and I'm looking forward to whatever I can. I just want to make plant-based, healthy, nutritious food more readily available to the people that just don't have the time to fit in or make it happen for themselves. I just want to make it easier for people.
Yes, no, that is amazing. And I can tell you that it's something that is needed so much.
It's big passion. Huge passion for me.
You can totally tell. Well, thank you for your time tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I think we have a couple people that will probably jump on and ask you some questions, regarding the meal prep service when you have that up and running.
Oh yes, definitely. I'll definitely be ready to give out some information for all of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And if there's anything that we can do to support you in your business, reach out and let us know.
I definitely will. I really appreciate our little chit chats throughout COVID here and there. You were always such a good support.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I really, really appreciate it. I was in prep during COVID, and so I really loved looking at your meal prep pictures.
I just knew it needed to be colorful and bright and appealing so that people are like, oh my gosh, what is that? And then you tell them what it is and they're like, really? And then it was when they taste it. Even the boyfriend, when we first started dating, he was just like, look, you can be vegan. He was like, just don't try to shove it down my throat. And I'm like, no problem, you go ahead. Right. And then the more he was around, one night I was making myself dinner. I was like, do you want a bowl? And he tried it and he was like, oh my God. And he was like, every time she gave me something, there was more flavor in that bowl and more flavor in this. And then he started to notice his own stomach troubles clearing. So he has been a solid promoter and cheerleader through this entire journey. Absolutely.
So great. I'm so happy for you. Okay, well, we can go ahead and wrap up tonight. Thank you again for your time this evening. I really
No, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you. And we'll see everyone on Facebook. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great night.